is just talk about a couple of things. In your lecture notes, there is comprehensive step-by-step processes for how to get into and finishing your final. Beth boils down the categories of the story into two characters fighting with each other, or a character fighting with nature, or just going up against nature. In the third example, she's talking about a character as having an inner struggle, and that could be any kind of angst, anxiety, or fear, or anything like that. And in an internal narrative might be a little hard to do without a voiceover and dubbing and having the character's thoughts be actual words. So that it's a real thing, but that one might be a little harder to do. And then the fourth one, which she mentions, is just abstraction, or an impressionistic or more an artistic take. So in the example that you just showed me in the Lego movie, was just a character versus character, which is fine. But in order to do anything in animation, you always have to start with a handwritten idea. So just write out your idea just in a couple of sentences. Two characters are going to approach each other, they're going to fight, and then this character is going to take their knife and cut the head off the other character. And so just write it out like that, like it was a Reader's Digest version of a synopsis. And that part of the assignment is not technically part of your grade. You just have to do it so that you know where your idea is going to go down on paper. Once you've got the words, you've already identified within those words at least two or maybe even three different characters. And so the next step would be is to just get some pencil and paper and sketch out how you want those characters to look. And then if you're going to do yours in Lego, then just go grab your Legos and start putting the Legos together, and then go back and redefine what your original sketches for your characters might look like based on what you've just done with your little plastic blocks. And then go back again to your plastic blocks and say, oh, well, you know, maybe this character should be taller than the other one. And so there's always like a feedback loop. And even to the point where you say, I like these two characters, but I think that this character should have a puppy. And it would be really fun to make a bird or a dog or a cat, then go back to your original script and rewrite it so that you've added a character in there and that it makes sense and that they're not just there for no reason. And so those little feedback loops, everything that I just told you right there, happens very quickly. If you're doing it correctly, you can do any kind of script, story, character design, feedback, that whole loop at least 15 or 20 times a day. Even with doing all the other things you're doing in your regular life, because it's fast and you don't spend forever doing the little sketches, and you don't spend forever putting your Lego blocks together. You're just kind of having fun with it. As soon as you reach that point where you kind of know where the beginning of the story is, what the middle of the story is, what the ending of the story is, you can start drawing your thumbnails. So thumbnails are best if you follow the following. I'm going to see if I can draw right on the screen here.
When I first got started on the sketches, I was thinking like maybe I could put like this person is just having like a normal day, but then something like something like villains actually came out of nowhere, and then that's when the heroes come and they start fighting.
Sure, but remember that the directions say that you're supposed to be around 10 seconds, so don't kill yourself. All right, I think I might have to. I think I might have to share my screen in order to draw. All right, so I'm sharing my screen. I'm going to go back to. I'm just going to stay on this Lego movie right here. And now I have to go. I have to figure out. There we go. Okay, so. So what I'm going to do is just, and I'm going to post this to the class for everybody, is I'm going to just do a couple of little drawings for you. So the idea would be is you have two characters fighting. You know, in this little example here, you have two characters and there's a battle. So then you go in there and you go to your Legos and you build them. And then you sketch them out, because when you sketch them, there might be a feedback loop here. You might go back and change how they're built just by your sketches. And then because of this loop right here, you get to a point where you like the character's design. You're actually drawing a background or a stage. You're getting an environment built for this. While you're doing this, you might be thinking to yourself, what is your audience? Is it for kids? Is it for adults? Is it like we just said before, is it an adventure? Is it what kind of story is it in the genre? In our notes for the class, they were talking about man versus man, or character versus character, character versus nature, and then an internal struggle. So, and then what happens invariably is that there's a feedback loop. Once you start thinking about the genre, the kind of story with a beginning and a middle and an end, sometimes it changes the characters and it changes the designs. And there's always this feedback loop. The idea is doing that fast. The idea is doing it as fast as possible. Don't dwell on any of these things. All right, so once you've got that settled, remember that the beginning of the story traditionally is the Enlightenment. And I'm just going to write ENT. It is the exposition. It is character development. The middle is the fight or the conflict. And then the ending is the resolution, which can easily be translated into Act 1, Act 2, or Act 3. But if your story is only 10 seconds long, it's more like a gag. It's more like you're just set up, and then action, and then payoff. So that's the best way to think about it, just in terms of a 10-second story. All right, so, and then once you start developing the script here, it might change this script again. And again, you're doing this fast. The whole idea is fast, fast, fast. And then I think at this point, you'd start ready to draw. And when you're doing thumbnails, use the following method. Thumbnails are supposed to be small. And so everyone in this class is working with a 16:9 ratio, aspect ratio. And so that could be translated into 16:9 inches or 32:18. But if we take it down, the same ratio is applied to 8:4.5. That is still too big if it's inches. It can also be translated into 4 by 2.25. And this size here is really good for final storyboard size. So 4 inches by 2.25 inches is really good for final board size. So then if we take it down one more, which is 2 by 1 1/8, this is really good for thumbnails. All right, and then once again, when you're doing thumbnails, draw them fast. Use a line of action. Use gestures. And draw them fast. In a 10-second movie, you are probably going to have maybe 3 shots. I'm going to go over here now. If it's a 10-second clip, you might have 3 cuts. If you have 3 cuts, then you'll have 4 shots. And each shot probably needs 3 storyboard panels. So 4 times 3 is somewhere around 12 to 20 story panels. And so start with the thumbnails that are at or around 2 by 1 1/8, and just draw them randomly. An idea of a storyboard panel would look something like this, where you just draw out your frame, and then you figure out where your focal points are for dividing up your screen into cinematic thirds. And then once you've got your cinematic thirds set up, you can say, okay, here's my background. A character is going to come out. Just draw real sketchy. Just draw the line of action. Draw through the story panel itself, and then continue to go. Sometimes what you can do is take a piece of cardboard and cut out a square from the cardboard that is 2 by 1 1/8 inch rectangular shape, and just use it like a template, and then just draw. Go to draw, draw, draw. All right, so once you have the idea of what your thumbnails are looking like, you can then add screen direction, like this character is going to come in from the left, this character is going to come here, the characters are going to fight, and then once they're fighting, you can say the blades are here, and you can see that now you're composing a shot. You're composing a shot even just with these quick little thumbnails. And like I said, you're looking at a limited amount, just 12 to 20 of them. And once you've done this, once you've got these thumbnails and they're starting to roll, sometimes it changes everything. Sometimes it changes the characters. Sometimes it changes the story. Sometimes it changes the background and who even the audience is, because you did something and it was inappropriate for kids, so it makes it more of an adult thing. It's good for this feedback thing, and it really, truly happens almost as fast as we're talking about it right now. All right, and then once you get these thumbnails set, and I'm running out of room here, so I'm going to go over here. And so you just have a series of thumbnails. What I like to do then is kind of look at them. You know, there's 6 of them right there. One thing that I like to do is put a title. Make sure you have a title card. It's just really professional to start there and not forget that you are making a short film, even though it's only 10 seconds. And then number your panels. 1, 2, 3, 4. Always use the same area, 5, 6, and number your story panels, and then just start drawing and get your characters. A lot of times you're going to need a character that's in a neutral position. They're just standing there. The other character with their line of action is just standing there. There might be some dialogue. And I think in this class, they might be asking you to actually try to scratch and record that dialogue, but then they're going to take an anticipation. So in a subsequent, in the next panel, this character is going to take an anticipation. They're going to move backwards. This character is going to take an anticipation. They're going to move backwards. So each one of these colors is a different story panel. And then they're going to fight. So now this character is going to come forward. Their line of action is going to reverse. This character is going to come forward, and they're going to fight. And so just drawing out these kind of thumbnails with a series of progressive shots, which would be panel 4, 5, and 6, is the correct way to just start drawing thumbnails. In an adventure story, a character might be over the shoulder. So you might see that the character is just looking at a landscape, and they're looking at that they're going to have to travel up to this big mountain, right? And so then you can have a series of progressions of shots where the character leaves the environment that they're in and they go down the road. There's a whole bunch of stuff online about how to do storyboards, or how to do thumbnails going into storyboards. I don't think that there's a really perfect textbook for showing any particular artist or student how to get from this basic idea up here, how to go from this basic idea up here, going all the way down from thumbnails into full boards that are 4 inches by 2¼ and then into animatics. And then going from animatics from either After Effects or Dragon Frame, or it could even be done in Photoshop, or you can do it in Toon Boom, Harmony. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can do animatics, but there's no one book that has how to create good ideas, how to write, how to tell the good story from the beginning, middle, and end, how to do this feedback loop, how to do character design. They're all separate, like textbooks. They're all separate reference and research things that you would have to do online. And remember that the whole thing here is that the class, the way the class is built is you're really only shooting for at plus or minus 10 seconds. And so once again, you just go from what you're trying to get is these thumbnails here. For what the class is talking about, thumbnails and full boards down here, this is the best way to get at it. Write out your idea just with words, figure out how many characters you have, 2 or 3 characters, sketch out those characters, and then build those characters. How are you going to do it? In this class, you can do them in paper, or you can do it in 3D. You might even be able to do it in 2D if you wanted. Figure out what your stage is like, and then go through that whole process. All right, so I just recorded that, and I'm going to post it to the class. And I just stopped sharing my screen right now. And the recording is paused. All right, so did that make sense?
Yeah, that really made a lot of sense. I was thinking of changing like the first sketches I did.
Yeah.
Because that actually gave me like a bit of ideas.
Right.
And it starts to remind me of this video that I sent on chat right there. I seen this one before when I was a kid too, but I really forgot about it. But then when I noticed about it,
Sorry, hold on.
Quickly and confidently, so you never have to slow down at work. Instant corrections make your writing mistake-free.
So sure, the idea is having fun with it. So either one of those two things is fine. And you might not even need to work with like the little mini Lego figures. You could make your own. You don't have to stick with the prefab characters that they make in Lego. You can make your own.
I know, but I like using the Legos that I got because there's like a whole frame of Legos.
I know, but they're small. Just do an experiment. Just see how challenging it would be to make your own little character that's more like 6 inches tall. Because those little characters, those little Legos are only like 1.5 inches tall. It's going to be easier for you to animate if they're 4 or 6 inches. I'm just saying. Don't yell at me. Don't yell at me.
I mean, I played Legos when I was younger, and I had no problem with the whole walking thing.
Yeah, but it's different when you get it into stop motion. You got to be really precise. Remember, you got yelled at because your character was going back and forth. It's easier to progress the character when a character's walking. It's easier to. It's more professional to have the character just going up and down and progressing across the stage. Your character was going like this. That's what my critique meant. It was almost like you were doing a giant sneak. Right?
Yeah.
Or no, wait, I lied. Your character was walking up towards the camera, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was thinking about one of your other classmates. Sorry, I apologize.
That's fine.
All right, so hopefully I answered your question. Yes?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, so I recorded this. As soon as I stop our session here, I'll post this to the class and I'll let everybody know that this is my suggestion for how to get through the week.
Okay.
Got it? Got it.
Yeah, got it.
Good. Okay, looks like it stopped raining. You're not gonna get rained on today.
Oh, I didn't know it was raining.
All right, anything else for today?
No, not really.
Okay, I'm gonna go eat my lunch.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Jay.
Welcome.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.